What's up, everybody? It is great to see you, and I want to start today with something that, even though I don't know everyone, I would bet we can all have conversation about this one topic. Now, what is it? Food. And not only just food, I want to talk about good food. Okay, the kind of food that you dream about. Maybe it's a restaurant, and if you have the chance to choose where your family or friends eat, this is where you're going, all right? Maybe it's something homemade, and just thinking about it makes your mouth water, okay? This would be your choice for your last meal. So I want to know, and I want to see what the people around you think too. So share your all-time favorite food. All right, I hope you had a good talk with those around you. So my favorite food is barbecue. And even though I love where I live in Southern California, there is a shortage in the barbecue department. Now that may be the case from Minnesota too. I don't even know what you guys eat up there. I've heard y'all do like casseroles and fish fries well, and California does tacos, but not barbecue. So I bought a smoker a couple years ago and started to learn how to cook, right? And what I found out, and y'all may laugh, but I promise this is true, okay? Good barbecue is an art form. Okay, I know that seems exaggerative, but like I found out you can't just buy meat and hope it turns out. Like you gotta buy the right grade, the right kind, then you gotta make sure you got the right wood and cook at the right temperature for the right amount of time until the meat gets to the right, falls off the bone, but not too much, right? It's smoky, but there's a level that you don't want it to be too smoky. There's a standard, right? There's a recipe for success. And my guess is, even if like you said, your favorite food was Oreos, okay? There's still a process or a recipe to achieve that kind of goodness. And you and I both know that name brand Oreos and grocery store brand Oreos just are not the same, okay? You can't cheat the process. And there's always a recipe for good. But that's true for like a lot of areas in life. I mean, think about it. Your favorite artist has a process for how they put together their music. I mean, your favorite athlete with how they go about the game. And most things proficient and good are a result of a process. So today, I want to talk about the process. And if you want to get really cheesy, give me a break here. The recipe for faith. Right? I mean, what's the process for success when it comes to spiritual things or engaging with God? And today I want to share with you a passage of scripture that has been seriously helpful for me during the pandemic. I've probably read it 500 times over the last year. And I honestly believe it outlines 3 things that can help us engage with God or have faith in a way that makes sense and will lead to a faith-filled life. It's in the Psalms, is chapter 37, 3-5. And the writer highlights 3 main themes: trust, delight, and commit. It says this: trust in the Lord and do good, dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will do this. Now, we're gonna cover all 3 of these fast, but let's talk about the first one, okay? Trust. Now, someone has probably said to you before, and it's most often during a difficult time,
"Hey, just trust God. Like, it'll be fine."
And when you're going through something hard, having someone tell you to just trust God can be hard to hear, and honestly, depending on who it's coming from, annoying. Like, you don't have any stake in my situation. You don't know how I feel. Just trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. What does that even mean? Okay, now here's what I've learned about trust in this season. Regardless of if you believe in God or not, we know this is true, right? Healthy relationships have trust. Now, healthy is relative. But I still see people who aren't Jesus followers trying to have healthy relationships. And I mean, you want to know someone has your back, or that they're honest, or that they have your best interest in mind. And you know this is true because you may have had relationships without trust. Maybe it was dating or like with your parents or with friends. And relationships without trust, dude, it sucks, right? And following Jesus, which we've been talking about for a while now, is a relational dynamic. And just like every other relationship, it's built on trust. And sometimes when I hear that word, trust, right, it just seems so passive. It's like, just sit and wait and everything will be fine. But the text says, trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land. Now, that's active. So when life is not good, you can still actively do good. Okay, and you can stay where you are. Okay, you can dwell in the land. You don't need to move. You don't need to go be a monk. You dwell in the land. So as a student in the pandemic, you can trust that God has your best interest in mind and do good. Now, what do I do, right, is the question when I don't know what to do. Well, you do good. Like you be encouraging to friends. You love and honor your parents. You be kind. You withhold judgment. You act justly. You love mercy. You walk humbly. That's Micah 6:8. Read that as a group together. And then you dwell in the land. And you can do good regardless of if the land is good or not. So trust, it isn't passive, it's active. And you trust by doing good. And look, that's not easy. So one question we can all consider tonight is, just which area of your life do you need to trust God in? Look, we all have one or 7 or 70, okay? And God is inviting you to trust Him. And I promise life will be better if you do. Second, take delight in the Lord and He will give you the desires of your heart. Now, when you think about faith or religion or spirituality, has the word delight ever come to mind? Believe it or not, this whole thing isn't supposed to be a chore. Or a list of things to not do. And just like any other healthy relationship, like you're supposed to enjoy being around each other in your relationship with God. Now, there's 2 parts in this scripture. Number 1 is like, what does it look like to delight in the Lord? And then 2, what the heck does it mean He's going to give me the desires of my heart? Because that makes Him sound like a genie or a birthday wish. All right? First, talk about delight. Think about something in life that you fully enjoy. Maybe it's photography or basketball or cooking or a particular author's writing. Something you love and nobody has to coach you to care for. Look, our relationship with God is supposed to be that way. Guys, the goal of Christianity is not for you to follow a bunch of rules, but to enjoy God. And the way you do that is by delighting in Him and simply knowing Him. And look, I've learned through this pandemic that it's impossible to delight in God if I'm never around Him. Again, relationship, right? I can't have great friendships if I never talk to them. So I've tried to be more intentional, and I had to ask this question, like, am I enjoying God today on this Sunday, right? I mean, and one of the things that I've done that's worked well is I list out all the things in my life that I'm grateful for. And once I do that, I realize how much to be thankful for, even in the midst of a crappy season. And I'm reminded that I'm supposed to enjoy God. Like faith is about enjoying God. And look, that takes time. It takes a lifetime to truly learn. So give yourself a break if you're not there yet. Okay, the second part of that verse. What about the desires of the heart thing? First of all, it doesn't mean, if you really think about it and pray hard about it, that God will give you a mansion, all right? Sometimes I wish that was the case, but it doesn't work out that way, unfortunately. So a quick explanation. Delight and desire are connected. You see, if we're delighting in God, if we're enjoying God, then the desires of our heart align with His heart. So if the desire of your heart is to be kind at school, God will give you the people to be kind to. If it's to raise money for starving people, God will give you a way to do that. If it's to alleviate sex trafficking, He will give you an opportunity to do just that. Right? You see how it works. I'm amazed at how much opportunity God has given me when my heart aligns with His. And look, maybe God will make you rich or famous. And the cool part is, if you're delighting in Him, He's gonna use your platform to do good. And by the way, this doesn't mean you can't enjoy stuff that's like not spiritual, or at least we don't think it's spiritual when it first comes to mind, like a show on Netflix or shoes or whatever, okay? You can have hobbies and interests. You're a human. But the important part is the highest form of joy is supposed to come from God and God alone. So what's your level of delight in life right now? Honestly, like scale of 1 to 10. And what do you think could increase that? All right, last one, verse 5. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will do this. Now that word commit, right? Commitment is hard. It can be scary. But I believe that this is true. It's impossible to have a good life and be non-committal. Okay, non-commitment, it's like a kite, right? You're gonna change by whichever way the wind blows, which is fun for a moment, but it's an exhausting way to live. And in this relationship with God, like He's inviting us to commit our way to the Lord, which means we simply wake up every day and commit it to God. God, I don't want to get on this Zoom call, but I commit this day to You. I'm going to delight in You, and I'm going to trust that You're working. I don't want to listen to my parents, but I commit our relationship to You. I'm going to fight for peace, okay? I don't want to read my Bible, but I commit this moment to You in 5 minutes a day, okay? I don't want to fill in the blank, whatever it is. And look, in healthy relational dynamics, commitment is essential, just like trust and just like delight. So as we close this Invited series, we're gonna do something called the Invited Challenge. And it's built around this question. What would be one step you could take that would demonstrate commitment to God? Guys, I'm not saying everything for right now, just one thing. And in small group tonight, okay, you can brainstorm maybe what that one thing is together, and we've listed a few for you. Maybe it's a 5-minute Bible reading plan, and you're gonna do it as a group together. Or, not trying to throw shade here, maybe your Invited Challenge is like to actually respond when your leader texts you, all right? Or maybe you'll stop tearing people down, and you'll think about like how your words make them feel. And look, there's a ton more. You don't have to do this also, but why wouldn't you? I mean, look, guys, no judgment here, but we all have a step to take. Like everybody, regardless of where we are in our spiritual journey, God is inviting us to take a step towards Him. Trust, delight, commit. That's a process. That's a recipe for good faith, for a good life. We love you guys, and we'll see you next week for Super Bowl parties.